Bang, bang, nine again. This your boy Florida Mike, a.k.a. German Chocolate, a.k.a. Magic Mike. I got all kind of nicknames. Let me get up close to this camera, man. You see the chain I got on, getting rusted, but oh well. I'm still representing my 49ers. I got this in California at Levi Stadium when I went there last year, so I'm always going to rock this chain no matter what. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm getting into Javon Kinlaw and Grant Cohn. Now, quick disclaimer, I don't know much about Grant Cohn, so this video is based on what I saw with that interaction. To be honest with you, it took years for me to sit down and watch literally a little piece of Grant Cohn because I was, told over and over and over by my friends, check him out. And I'm like, man, he's just another person to me that is just like no different than these other people at ESPN. They all, put out information before facts. And that's how a lot of these journalists do. They're clickbait. Majority of them are. You can't find one with credibility, consistency, and professionalism that checks all three boxes across the board, at all times. They might just play that for a short period, but then when they want to get a story, they're going to compromise one of those three categories and just say something to get people to react. And that's how they stay relevant and have a job. So because of that, I don't put a lot of stock into these people. I just watch the direct source itself, like from the actual coach and players, and then I formulate my own critique based on that. Now, with that being said, I got exposed to the Javon Kinlaw and Grant Cohn. I didn't really watch it more than once. Normally, I will replay it and watch it because I could miss something. But I went back and I was like, I ain't finna waste my time because I'm going to keep true to what I say about Grant Cohn on his behalf. One thing that's interesting to me is let's talk about Javon Kinlaw being perceived as a bust. The man is probably played in just about 19 games. I don't know exactly, but barely a full season or a little bit over a full season. And he was out, last year with injuries. Now, to be fair, it's hard to say that somebody's a bust when they have not played two or three full seasons of football in the NFL. Because after 19 games, you can't really say what someone is. You just have to see if they get better each week. And unfortunately, Javon Kinlaw has not had the opportunity last year. So if he gets to play a full season this year, it's a little bit easier to critique him. So I think fans need to chill and hold off on the bust talk because that's so premature. A lot of you fans were the same fans saying that about Jimmy Ward when he was a first-round draft pick and we drafted him and he was injury-prone. But guess what? When he got healthy, now y'all praise him and love him and say he's one of our best players back in the secondary. See how that works? Give people a chance first. So, Grant Cohn. Let's go to the next topic. When people talk about Grant Cohn being a professional journalist and he's allowed to say what he has to say, Javon Kinlaw needs to have tough, thick skin and understand how the media goes, or compare him to maybe someone like Trey Lance who dismisses Grant Cohn in a quiet manner. Listen, guys, all that, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to say I agree with that. And for the simple reason being, everybody individually is going to express themselves in the way that they do. You don't know how Javon Kinlaw was raised. You don't know where he comes from and how he expressed himself at this point as a young 20-year-old man in his early 20s. It's going to be different than how he expresses himself when he's later on in life, like in his mid-30s. Like many of you, the way you're talking about Javon Kinlaw, remember when you was in his age, how you talked to people that you felt disrespected you. And they weren't even, just random friends of yours. They could also be your parents, people that exceed these so-called professional journalists, right? So my whole point is, if you're going to have the standard to an athlete to present himself with professionalism because he's a professional athlete, then you also should have that same energy to a journalist who's a professional journalist. And when they get outside of the boxes that I mentioned earlier with being professional, doing stuff for clickbait and doing those type of things, which Grant Cohn clearly does on a regular basis, then you have to hold him accountable as well. Now, if you don't like the way Javon Kinlaw responded to Grant Cohn, you are entitled to have your view. I'm not here to challenge that. But what I am here to say is, let's be fair about how we assess that situation, because Grant Cohn, we all know, especially for you people who follow him, I don't, but I've seen enough of him. We all know that he likes to poke the bear. I've watched Kyle Shanahan speak at his press conferences. Of course, Grant Cohn is out there, and he's the only one who Kyle Shanahan kind of answers in a very short, brief way and dismisses him, right? There's a reason for that. It ain't just Kyle Shanahan. John Lynch has done it. Multiple players have done it. And at the end of the day, Grant Cohn understands. He told you in that clip, he hopes that Javon Kinlaw would have hit him so he could have got paid. He would be able to retire. But since that didn't happen, he still has to go to work. When you say something like that, that's not professionalism. That's to me, that's, telling you want to poke the bear. Whether he's joking or he meant it, I don't care. That's not something you say with the type of platform you have. So if we look at it in totality, is he really poking the bear to Javon Kinlaw? And it calls, when an action, for every action, it causes a reaction. So I'm not trying to say that the way Javon Kinlaw reacted was the best, way to convey a response in a professional manner. I don't care about that. I don't. And the reason I say I don't is simple. I understand that journalists have a job to do, and their job is to have that integrity and professionalism. When they go outside of that box, at that point, you've already crossed the line. So when an athlete who's not a professional journalist, but they're a professional athlete, and if you listen to what Kinlaw was saying, minimize how he expressed it. Listen to the substance that he spoke. He felt like he was being attacked and his family was affected because his image was affected. And whether you guys like it or not, you probably never taken many communication classes in college, because I did, and I understood a lot more about journalism than not taking it. An average person who doesn't invest in that might not know, but even if you have not, it does not matter. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know if you have the ability to slander someone's character and shape a perception about them among the general public, and it causes all that reaction. Of course, an average fan is going to say grow tough skin and be tough. But many of you are employees at jobs and you can't even handle a rude customer. Many of you are employees at jobs and you can't even handle an appraisal that your boss gave you in a negative critique or a constructive criticism format in a professional manner. So for you to sit here and say somebody had tough skin, I just think at the end of the day, as human beings, we need to understand that these athletes get exposure on the media than another level than the average citizen. You can go into a shopping store and nobody's going to say anything about you being a bust, or they don't care about your work performance. Javon Kinlaw goes into a shopping store and he's noticeable. These fans are going to react based upon what the media is putting out there. And to do that to a man, especially if he has a family and it's in front of him, yeah, man, you're going to feel a certain type of way because you know what you're doing to put in work every single day and you feel undervalued, unappreciated. So again, I'm not excusing the way he conveyed himself. If you have a problem with him cursing or saying, things in a way or a manner, you can be the judge of that. That's not my priority. My thing is, let's just be fair across the board. If you're going to hold athletes to that standard, then why are you not holding irresponsible journalists to the same standard? It doesn't matter if it's their job or not. Their job is to be professional. Their job is to make sure that they don't have biases or do these things. But because they're getting a lot of attention from a lot of people and they're clickbait, they're doing contrary to what they were taught in their own school about being professional journalism. They are taught to have these type of integrity and character. But we know that they stray away from that nowadays. Social media has really given these people these platforms to be able to do such. So anyway, I hope this video brings some, more closing of the gaps and people see things from a more neutral perspective as opposed to picking a side, because at the end of the day, we all can do better, whether you're an athlete or a journalist. And we all can do better as a public when we receive this information. All right. Either way, we all want to see Kinlaw succeed, and we want to see the 49ers win. Let's agree on that. Bang, bang, 9 game.